the weekly feed. Kyle, Meredith. It's Lisa Loeb. How's
Hi.
it going? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. It's great to see you here.
Thank you.
It's great to see you. I know this whole year has kind of been like, I don't know, it's an anniversary year for you.
Yes.
For better or for worse, because there's nothing that really reminds you of time like an anniversary.
I love anniversaries. I like celebrating.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and so what we're talking about here at 1994, you know, the big single stay changes the world. Definitely changed your world at least.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the 20th anniversary of Stay going to #1 on the charts, which is really exciting. I can't believe it's been 20 years.
It has been. Do you ever feel like, though, because of that song was so big and it's still just, I mean, I'm sure the royalties are still there on that song because it's still everywhere on radio and everything. Does it ever seem like you have to be tied to that decade? Maybe at times you don't want to, because people associate you and that song and that movie, Reality Bites, with that moment. And it feels like it would be always there, like pulling on you.
Well, it's always there, but I wouldn't say it's like pulling on me in a negative way. It's more, I think as a musician, especially now that I've been doing this for over 20 years, I mean, that was when the song was on the radio, but I've been doing this for such a long time, even before that, I think I appreciate the fact that there is even that one song that people really connect to. And I know there's bands that I listen to that I have certain songs that I connect to. Sometimes it's multiple albums, which of course is the best, but even having a song or 2 songs or 3 songs that someone connects to that makes them continue to be interested in, you know, what I'm doing now, it's awesome. I mean, I have so many friends who are musicians, and it's an interesting business, you know. It's interesting to be able to get out there. Everything is a little bit different now because you have a little bit more direct contact with fans and ability to really get out there on your own independently. Which works well for me. I've always been sort of independent like that, but even still with that, it helps to have something extra, and having a song on the radio at all ever is just an amazing experience. Like, it's literally enabled me to travel around the world and connect with so many people. It's incredible.
But I guess I just hear about some artists who are like, you know, when you haven't made it, and you're like, man, I would love that one hit. And then you hear about some of the artists who get that hit and they start to resent it because they never, you know, quite reach that height. And you've had great songs throughout your entire career, but I know for a lot of people, they resent their hit, you know.
That's a sad way to live. It's a very sad way to live.
Yeah. So you never really had to deal with any of that? Like, you never got to that part like, well, I've got to play Stay again tonight.
No, I totally am so grateful for my fans who really want to hear that song, and there's a handful of other songs they always really want to hear too. Again, it's just such a great connector. It's such a great way to connect to an audience. People have really great memories associated with it. Some of them are sad memories, but they have strong memories associated with it. And sometimes it's a combination of sad and humorous, like all their 7th grade girlfriends used to all sing this song at slumber parties, or you know, you see it. It really stood out to me when I saw the way they used it in the TV show Orange is the New Black. There was a very sentimental side to it and very sweet side, that all these women were brought together and they all had a memory of the song. At the same time, it was kind of humorous because here they are in prison, you know, where time has stood still in a way, wearing their orange jumpsuits. But also then it comes back to that sentimental thing again, where it's like, wow, like these are people from all different places and they really connect on the song. So I don't know, for me, I appreciate it so much. I think maybe I've seen some of those musicians too. I can't name any in particular offhand, but I've seen people who resent their hits, who resent the things that actually got them to connect with people in the first place. And that just doesn't seem fair to the songs. It doesn't seem fair to themselves, like to live such a negative life surrounding something that should be a celebration, you know?
And you can see how you've embraced it. I mean, the last record you put out, you had a song called The 90s on it.
Yeah, and it's about how I love the 90s. I don't want to go back, but I love the 90s. I love talking about it, looking at pictures about it, you know, talking about memories. Again, like I talk to lots of fans after shows, and they tell me all the things that happened to them when they were little or when they were in college listening to the song, you know?
Do you ever go back to, I mean, you know, it's kind of famously about a breakup with a boyfriend.
Right.
And do you know where that boyfriend is nowadays? You guys still keep up?
It wasn't a breakup, it was an argument. And he and I are really good friends. I just went to his wedding. We worked together for years, and so yeah.
It's his anniversary too.
Yeah, it is his anniversary. We actually celebrated the 20th anniversary of the song going to #1.
Oh.
So it was something we worked on together. We had been recording together forever, and we dated for many, many years.
Yeah. So beyond that, okay, so we got that part. You have become this amazing entrepreneur for your career. You know, so there are the records, then you do the kids' records. You take over television. You had
Wow.
two. Well, you had two.
2 TV shows.
Yeah, it's hard enough to get one. I mean, anybody pitching a show, you have to go through the ringers just to get it on the TV, and you end up having two of them. When did it become a thing where you said, I don't have to just be a musician? Or maybe it was even a thing where he's like, if I want to survive as a musician in the 2000s, you have to do more, because I think you do have to do more.
I think it was just, I felt like in the early 90s when I started out, there was such a stigma about doing things other than your main job. Like if you wanted to act or there was some other project you were interested in, people sort of looked at you as a dilettante and they didn't take your music seriously. Now things have totally changed, and you see most musicians have lots of things they're interested in. You know, some people are varying levels of like huge success with other projects they're doing. But now, you know, like we were in Detroit the other day, and an old friend who I knew from New York City in the olden days, he has 3 restaurants. That's awesome. Back in the 90s, you might think like, oh, I don't know, like you'd see those behind the scenes VH1 shows, you're like, they opened a flower store? Like, I don't know about that. Now it's like amazing, like you can have a bunch of businesses and do whatever you love. At a certain point, opportunities kept coming up, and I kept looking for things that I wanted to do. Like with my Food Network show, I had put a record out called Cake and Pie, and I had a friend who was a chef in Arizona, and we thought it would be really hilarious to do a live show. I was working with Dweezil Zappa at the time and dating him, and we thought it'd be hilarious to play music and then have a pie oven roadie, and he would be on stage and then make pie, and it would be a food demo and a music thing, and we would do this live and then give people taste of the thing that we had made, and they'd hear music. It would be like a full sensory experience. And the record company was like, they didn't want to put any money into it. And it was crazy, so we went and one of our agents at the time had a relationship with a production company who'd worked with the Food Network. So we went into the Food Network and had a meeting and said, look, we've been doing this, it'd be awesome if you could plug this little event thing that we're doing into one of your shows. But instead, they were so enthusiastic about our enthusiasm for the Food Network, for learning about cooking, for restaurants, and how food fit into our lives, that they said, you guys should do a show. So it was just like following, you know, what I love to do, and it's just continued in that way.
Yeah. Could you see yourself doing TV again?
Definitely, yeah. I really enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
It's really fun. I'm going to be doing some radio hosting, and something I did back in high school. I had a radio show for 3 years, so.
College radio?
High school radio, actually. Okay. Yeah, FM radio.
Okay.
We had a high school FM radio station. Can you believe it?
It's going to be taking my job.
And I was like station manager. Yeah. I know. So I really enjoy doing that. I've done a kids radio show that I hosted kids authors. It was for grown-ups, but it was about kids and different age children's literature, and I interviewed authors. But this is going to be something I'm doing for Sirius XM.
That's cool. Yeah. So being an indie artist like that, because that's where the story begins. You know, you were the indie artist who hit the top of the charts, and here you are. You're an indie artist in 2014, 20 years later. Similar or different?
You know, it's really similar. It's different in that it's not just about collecting names at the end of a show so you can send out little postcards to let them know where you are next. It's much more intense. And in a way, like right now I'm sort of changing what I'm doing because of the way I'm able to get music to fans. For years I've been writing all these songs that don't end up on albums because they don't fit on a particular album. And they go by the wayside. But now I'm going to start, all the songs that I've been working on, I'm going to start putting out one at a time, and they might not all relate to each other, but they relate to how I am and what I'm doing at that moment. And because I'm always kind of on tour, it gives me the ability to play new songs whenever I'm playing live. So it keeps it fresh for me. I'm able to get the music out to people, and this is something we wouldn't have been able to do back in the day.
Right.
Like you'd have to, you know, make an actual CD or a cassette
single
tape
every single time, right?
Yeah, and because we can record a little bit more easily in some smaller studios, and people are used to playing more instruments. Like, again, it's fun to go in with the entire band into a real huge studio with a big drum sound, but you can get a lot done in a smaller space, just like we recorded Stay.
Right, right. Look how it all comes back around.
I know, well, it's all about like just continuing to do what you do and getting it out there, and yeah, just trying to be on top of all the details. It's a little tough because you have to be like an entire business, and most of us don't have an entire office building. So
yeah, but beyond all that, I also read that you're going to be doing a musical,
I have a kids musical. Yeah. A musical theater company in Miami commissioned me to write a musical based on some of my kids' music from my album Camp Lisa. There was a song called Best Friend about when you first meet someone and you don't like them at all, and then eventually you get to be really good friends with them. So they commissioned a short play, and this guy named Marco Ramirez, who's a playwright, wrote the play, and my friends Michelle Lewis and Dan Petty and I wrote all the music. and they put it up for a couple of years, and now we have additional writers rewriting. They just finished rewriting the play, and we wrote some different songs, and it's being developed and put up in New York City at the Atlantic. It's called the Atlantic Playhouse. I don't know the exact name.
That's exciting.
It's at the Atlantic, and it's going to be up in the spring. Yeah.
Wow.
It's really great.
And you've been working with other writers. I mean, you're talking about working with other writers right now. I know
Yeah.
the last record has some co-writes with Maya Sharp.
Oh yeah, I wrote with Maya.
Yeah, great one there. Was that new for you? Was co-writing new for you? Is that something?
It was
because like
new
you're
for
still
me.
messing with the formula, I guess,
Yeah.
of songwriting, of how you do it.
I still have this voice inside of me, which I've had forever, which is I want to do it all myself. But in reality, I had the opportunity to collaborate. I went to Cuba for a songwriting thing where every day you wrote. Well, actually, we had 2 different writing sessions during the week. One of them was with Burt Bacharach, was one of the guys I got to write with.
Wow.
I know. And then another one was with a Cuban musician, and it was interesting. Both sessions went really differently, but it was an interesting foray into collaborating. But then what really helped was I was invited to go write at Miles Copeland's castle, and that's Stuart Copeland from The Police. His brother is the manager, and he puts together these great songwriting weeks where there's artists, professional songwriters, people from different publishing companies, and every day you're paired up with 2 other writers. And you write a song a day. Yeah, and you write a song a day and you record it, and then you all play it while you sit and eat dinner and drink wine. So I was there with my friend David Poe and Duncan Sheik, and Maya Sharp was there, Keith Urban was there, Kami Lyle, I don't know, just all these different musicians. Sometimes Cher is there. I wasn't there, unfortunately, when Cher was there, or Carly Simon. But it was amazing. One day was really tough. The next day was really easy. The next day I wrote with this guy, Paul Thorne. We wrote the song in like 30 minutes. It was called Porno Magazine. It's an awesome song.
That sounds exactly like a Paul Thorne song.
It was totally a Paul, and it was so much fun to write, and it was so quick, and we just did it.
Does he stop and tell stories the entire time like he does on stage? He's a good storyteller.
He's just great to hang out with. I don't know, he's really sweet, and he's just a little over the top, and he's just so earnest and hilarious. But so that really, I was like, wow, I wrote 7 songs or 5 songs or whatever in a week. That could have taken me like 6 months by myself.
Do you see a difference in the quality?
I see.
Like something that you really can fret over and everything.
It depends. Sometimes the quality isn't as good because really, sometimes with collaborations, especially when you plan to write a song and be done by the end of the day, sometimes it's not as well edited, or I don't know, sometimes it doesn't come out quite right. It's not bad, it's just...
It's a seed.
It's like a quilt. It doesn't feel like a song. It's not like put together exactly. Other times, it doesn't matter that it's been done in a day. But that's such a big lesson for me as a songwriter, because like I can, overthink a song to death. And sometimes, usually, those are the songs people don't connect to as well anyway. So it just reminds me to keep writing. And like recently, I'm working with a band called Imagination Movers, who's a kids band that we watched on TV on Disney. They're great. They remind me of like the Police, kind of. Like they're really like a real band. My daughter got me into them. We connected on Twitter and we started working on a song together. And it's awesome. Like it's the way they write together. These 3 out of the 4 guys were there, and the way they write is so different than I've been working with some other people in Los Angeles, or this guy Cliff Goldmacher, and I wrote a couple songs, one that's coming out soon called Light. And everybody just works really differently, and it's such a relief to be able to get out of my house and my daily business and all the stuff I have to do, and just be able to sit down and focus really hard for 3-4 hours a couple of times and write a song and learn about another person's process. And songwriters, we get to hang out and talk. Just hang out and talk, and like it's kind of like being at a bar, but not like you can actually hear each other, and it's just very connecting, which is nice. And you end up with this song, and then again, like when you're not talking about making albums, that it's like this album or nothing, and then you're not gonna put another album out for 2 years. Like it's less precious, but it's just very connected. I don't know, it's really a cool thing.
Yeah, well, 20 plus years into your career, it's got to be nice to find all of these different types of inspirations. So.
Yeah, and it's sort of like growing up too, because I'm less, although I still write on my own, I'm learning to be less like egocentric about it. I'm gonna like, it's okay, I listen to all kinds of bands. I don't care if there's 5 writers or 1 writer. I still was listening to Elton John yesterday, and I couldn't believe, I was like, wow, he didn't write these words.
Yeah, that's all Bernie,
It sounds like it's him, and it's like, I don't care. I mean, it blows my mind as a creative person. It blows my mind that there he is as a performer singing this song, but we don't care as listeners.
Sure.
It's an interesting fact, but we don't really care. We just want to hear the song.
Right. Good song's a good song. And I can't wait to hear all the rest of the good songs that you're about to put out.
Oh, yeah.
I know you're a Cowboys fan, right?
Yes.
How are they going to do this year? 9-4 so far.
I think they're doing really well, right?
9-4, yeah.
They just won the other day.
So.
I don't follow them as much as I should, but they're my team. They're America's team.
They could be your
Cowboys.
team.
Yeah, they're America's team.
Lisa, it's so great to meet you.
Thank you.
To talk to you. And thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
All right. Weekly feed.